Hello, YouTube. Just thought I'd get in touch with you again. I had a very interesting talk with my friend Tom and at Starbucks, and it was just neat talking to him about life and having that sounding board to talk to about life's challenges and life's great things. And we both read a lot, so that we shared some of our favorite books, and I talked a little bit about my music, and so I'm finding that branching out and meeting friends of different experience backgrounds is very enriching to me. Tom is a very strong Christian, and I find that the foundation he has is very strong with life, and some of his values are very strong foundation-wise, that he's very well integrated with his Christianity. And it's fun to talk to him about the stages he's at in his life, and he's around 70 years old, and all the great experiences he's had. And he brought a pictures of his family. He's 3 great children, and they all have lives of their own, and he's got grandchildren, and you could see how proud he was talking about his family and sharing about that. And I shared about my family as well, and how proud I am of my wife and my 2 boys, and it was kind of neat to be able to share about that. We talked a lot about different books we're reading. He talked about an author by the name of George MacDonald that his wife used to read a lot. He lost his first wife, unfortunately, tragically, and she passed away, and now he has a second marriage with a woman named Debbie, who he loves very much, and he's been with Debbie for 15 or 20 years. And hearing about Tom's life is just amazing to hear what he has to say about sort of the comments and perspectives about life and living, and how important it is to live a meaningful life. And certainly he has lived a meaningful life. So we talked about books that we're reading. I talked about Chris Hedges, how I'm reading about Chris Hedges, and books by him rather, and his semi-pessimistic view of life, but the fact that he is railing against some things that are very critical to rail against, I think, with anti-corporatism and things like that. And we sort of compared our philosophies, where Tom is a Republican and I'm a Democrat, and we sort of we imagined that if we were senators in Washington, we'd actually get something done because we'd reach across the aisle, but he's talking about the importance of the compromise, and that we need to compromise in order to get any meaningful work done. And so we're both in agreement of that, and talking about Hedges' writing about the anti-corporatism and sort of the radical classical liberalism, and sharing points about what I felt and what he felt, and and we both feel that the world is not getting to be a better place for our children or grandchildren. So I suggested that he read James Hansen, Storms of My grandfather, which is Storms of My Grandchildren rather, which is a book about posterity and how we need to be honest about the environment and doing good things in order that our current military-industrial complex may be not going in the right direction when it comes to the environment. He agreed with a lot of those things, and even as a staunch conservative, he's agreeing that the world is not going maybe in the right direction for our children and grandchildren. So that's something that we really, even though we're coming from different political persuasions, we agree upon that. We talked about the author that he likes, George MacDonald, who was popular in the late 1800s. He's a Scottish writer, and his works translated into English, because the Brogue was so strong that it had to be translated to English. And so, we both talked about some of our favorite writers, and we talked about the importance of book club and to us, and the fact that we want to rename the book club from the On Track Readers to relevant digressions, because that's what we tend to do. And no surprise that Tom and I meeting at Starbucks for 3 hours turned into being a lot of relevant digressions, and from one topic to another, talking about family, politics, the meaning of life. Tom knows biblical passages pretty well too, so he was quoting biblical passages as well that were pertinent to our conversation, which is very interesting. He also talked about there was an interesting verse that he was talking about. It has something to do with, for those who much has been given, there is much responsibility to give to the world, so that if you're given a lot, there's a lot of expectations on that too. So I talked to Tom about how that had relevance in my own life, that I felt that there were still some more positive things that I needed to say and to do, and perhaps that I had another book inside me that I need to write. And what kind of book, I'm not quite sure, but perhaps right now I think that my strength is nonfiction, is just saying it the way it is from experience. Maybe a book on marriage, which would be kind of risky maybe, but possibly a book on marriage would be something that we could do. How marriage survives, how can marriage survive autism, maybe, kind of something like that would be kind of an interesting new book to do. So we talked about that. But I felt, I expressed to Tom at the age of 54 that I have so much more to share and to contribute, I believe, in my life. And 54 is very young, and I feel that I just started in many ways to express myself, and my mom said that I'm a late bloomer, that I'm finally starting to blossom or something, and that with my writing and my guitar playing and so on and so forth, that I'm starting to come into my own with expression of myself and my ideas and my beliefs. So Tom and I talked about that, and how important family. It seems like everything we talk about, it all comes down to the importance of family. A lot of it, the importance of family, and talked about in his life, the faith and family is number one, and those are very conservative ideas, but it makes a lot of sense, even though it's very simple. It makes a lot of sense that faith and family are number one. It really does. So anyway, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about my conversations with Tom over coffee at Starbucks. And the Starbucks thing kind of started with my friend Tim, who was a Stephen minister through when Stephen was placed in a group home. He helped me out a little bit. That's one of the values of church, is they have the Stephen ministry. And so Tim and I started meeting at Starbucks 5 or 6 years ago, 5 years ago perhaps, and now it's Jeff and Tom at Starbucks, and this thing is growing, this Starbucks phenomenon. So I think Starbucks is a great place to have a cup of coffee and a Danish, and the cheese Danishes are pretty good. It's a free commercial for Starbucks there, but the cheese Danishes are pretty good. But Starbucks is a place I really feel comfortable at home with, and so Tom and I are going to continue to meet there, and it all started with Tim and Jeff about 5 or 6 years ago, and so it's kind of cool having these conversations at Starbucks, and hopefully this will continue to be an important part of my life. So anyway, I'm just on the way to visiting Stefan. It's a solo visit today because because Debbie is with her friend Terry, and they're having lunch. So I'm going up here. It's about 1:30, and I'm halfway to Appleton here, and figured I'll just do the visit by myself. We can have some flexibility in the marriage, and I do the visit with Stefan, and probably take Stefan to McDonald's, his favorite place, and maybe a country drive. He loves riding in the car, and probably could have brought my guitar. I've done that too. I've brought my guitar to the house before and played, but maybe that's next time. So Stefan has liked my guitar playing for many years. So anyway, that's about the gist of it. But one other thing that Tom and I talked about was a great new book. It sounds like a great new book by Nina Sankovic, and it's going to be out this spring. And it's about the importance of letter writing. You know, in this day and age of texting, we've lost this connection with letter writing. That somehow, you know, expressing oneself in long form is somehow inappropriate, and we need to come back to the letter writing. We need to come back to the sense of complicated communications being meaningful. Right now, it's more the texting. I'll Instagram you, I'll Twitter you, I'll text you, I'll do a short superficial comment on Facebook. But we've lost this art of connecting in a deep way, and so letter writing, writing a book on the importance of letter writing, it seems to just hit right on. It's a home run. It seems to hit right at a point where I'd be really interested. So check out Nina Sankovic's latest book about letter writing. Her first book was a couple of years ago. It was Tolstoy and the Purple Chair, and it was about how she pledged herself that she would read a book a day for a year, much to the chagrin of her family, I suppose, but I don't know. But she did it for a year, and she talks about how the bibliotherapy had enriched her life. I thought it was one of the better books I've ever read, so I highly look forward to Nina Sankovic's new book, and I look forward to that very much. So anyway, over and out. We're going to Appleton today, and we'll check in later with you, YouTube. Have a great, wonderful week.